Welcome back to this episode of the Firm Foundation podcast. I am your host, Alana Qualls, aka Iconic. And today, back with us, we have Cleo Hawes. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good.
I'm back in therapy. I'm going to see a chiropractor weekly.
Nice.
I am tithing weekly at church. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I'm still in the gym and just focus on being the best version of myself as possible.
So I just heard body good, mind good, spirit good.
Absolutely.
Money right.
And taking it a day at a time, because I definitely have my days where it's like, I'm not going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I could meditate more. Like, I'm not meditating every single day. I'm
Yeah.
talking to God all throughout the day, but a day at a time. So I would say I'm in a healthy space.
That's the word though. The word says take no thought for tomorrow. For tomorrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long story short, one day at a time.
That's all we can do.
Because one day is enough.
One day.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about relationships and all facets of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So first,
Let's get into it.
now let me be honest. Let me preface it with this. I'm going to preface it with this. Anybody that knows me know I'm very private. I don't really like talking about my life, my personal life, unless you're really close to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be very transparent because I feel like these sorts of talks, and the intention of me starting the podcast is to be transparent, is to
Yeah.
help other people. So I will let my guard down a little bit, and I think I'll have some people probably laughing too. So,
Let's do it.
all right, let's do like a little icebreaker first.
All right.
So when it comes to relationships, now let's say romantic relationships,
Okay.
what's more important to you, chemistry or connection?
Connection.
Why?
Chemistry is not going to always be there. Connection should be. It's almost like to the gym. Like motivation isn't always there, so you got to be disciplined.
Right.
So some days we motivated to go to the gym, whether we seen somebody else that body look right, or we got a wedding coming up or something like that. So the motivation is there. But there's going to be days where you're not motivated to go to the gym. So you're going to have to rely on discipline.
Yes.
And it's a non-negotiable. So back to the question, I think I would rather have connection and chemistry, because sometimes you and your partner, y'all not gonna always vibe. Like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah.
So the chemistry might not always be there, but if that connection is there, if we're connected, then I know, even though me and you not vibing, like we not on the same page on something, we still connected.
Right.
At the end of the day, I got your back and you got mine, and I know you got my best interest in mind. So I'm gonna always rely on the connection. I would love the chemistry to be there, but
Right.
connection for sure.
You know what's interesting? I actually was going to answer the opposite way,
Let's hear it.
because here's how I feel. We can connect on a lot of different things. Men connect with me because I love going to the gym,
Okay.
or I used to play basketball. Men connect with me because of my mindset, or that I am a WOG, a WOG is a woman of God. I'm a woman of God. So men can connect with me and like that and be attracted to me because of those certain characteristics.
Yeah.
But is the chemistry there? Now, chemistry for me, of course, physical chemistry, but intellectual chemistry is like, it has to be top tier, or it's not going to work for me because of how I am and how I'm wired.
Yeah.
We have to be able to, like, you need to be intellectually stimulating to me,
Yeah, don't
or
know.
I'm not as attracted to you. I don't care how you look. I don't care what you have, because that's how I am.
Don't nobody want no dummy.
No.
Like, just a fine dummy.
It's so unattractive. You know what's one of the most unattractive things is when, like, a man also isn't self-aware. He doesn't take care of himself.
Yeah.
He isn't mindful of how he speaks to people or how he treats people. Like, that's so unattractive. Again, I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what he has. I don't care how educated he
Yeah.
is. If he's not self-aware, or he has this arrogance, I don't care what type of connection we have. I don't care if I even have strong physical chemistry with you. I'm paying attention to the full picture. That's just me. Let's argue.
That's cool.
It's fine.
It's cool.
To each his own, you know
For
what I mean?
sure.
But I do feel, in all in all honesty, it's very important to have both, though.
Yeah.
So I can't say I only lean towards chemistry. We obviously have to have connection as well, right? Otherwise, the sustainability of the relationship won't be there. That's my opinion.
It's going to be a microwavable joint.
Nobody wants that.
Sometimes
No.
you got to let it slow cook.
Exactly. Okay, here's the next question, and this is going to be funny when it comes to me, probably. What's your worst relationship experience or most embarrassing, funny story?
I'll tell you how I got the nickname Spider-Man. So I was in college, and this was probably like my 4th year. You know how college goes, just, you know.
I do.
I got out and I got a degree, so don't judge me, people.
That's all right.
And so I had this girlfriend, and she ended up staying down there over the summer because we was together. All her friends had went back home, so she had like cooked this dinner for me. But I was outside like hooping or whatever, and I told her I was gonna be up there in like 30 minutes, and then that turned to an hour, and then it turned to like an hour and a half, then 2 hours. So when we got done hooping, I go up there to go back into her apartment, and the door's locked. So I'm like, man, ain't no way she locked me out. So I knock on the door, I ring the doorbell, she don't answer, but my stuff is inside. So I'm like, just give me my stuff. I'll go to the crib. Like, you cool off. She still ain't answer. So I go around the back of the building. She sat on the 3rd floor, and I looked, the balcony door was open. So I was like, I got to get my stuff.
Yeah.
So I climbed 3 balconies. I climbed people's balconies.
Climb. You didn't climb up there, Cleo.
On the dead homies, I did. That's what my students say. On the dead
Risking
homies.
your life for this girl.
For my stuff.
Yeah.
And so
I feel you.
I go up, I climbed the 3 balconies, and what I seen was open was just the screen door, but not the door. So I'm like, oh, this mug might be locked. And so I'd have been stuck on the balcony. Luckily, it was open. So I opened the balcony. I walked through the blinds, and I wish I could have took a picture of her face. She was lit up. She was like,
wow.
like, yeah, like I never lost a crazy contest. So I got my stuff, and then I left.
So what was her justification for not letting you in so you don't have to climb 3 stories?
Because she was mad that I didn't come up there when I said I was. Because I said we was hooping. So it went from like, I was like, I'll be up there in a second. And I was like, 30 minutes. You said that. And then like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was like, I cooked all this food for you. Like, and you out there hanging with them. And
right.
da-da-da-da-da. So young love.
Ungrateful. Yeah. For me, I don't think we have enough time for all the stories, so I'll give you an abbreviated version. A lot of mine definitely happened in college as well. So we're talking 10 plus years ago, pushing 15. Jesus, there's a few. So one, I had a boyfriend in college who at first everything was going good. And all of a sudden, I remember I was calling him. He's not answering. Well, at this time, we were still in the dorms. So I go to his dorm. I'm like knocking and banging. I'm banging on the door.
Oh, so
all right, I'm not going
up.
to sugarcoat it. I pulled up on him. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was pissed. I'm like, this is my man. Like, why is he not answering the phone?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not okay with this. So I'm like pounding on the door. I'm not being crazy, but I'm like pounding on the door. He opens it, and I see like 2 girls in there. And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, why are you just pulling up on me? I'm like, because I've been calling you. I thought we were supposed to meet up. Like, what's going on? And he just was like so rude and like so nonchalant, pretty much saying like, he ain't talking to me. And it's kind of like, you see this, don't you?
Like you interrupting something.
Like I'm interrupting something.
Yeah, technically you were. If you had 2 of them in there, for sure you was interrupting something.
Yeah. And the girls were just looking at me like, okay, so fast forward. Of course, after that, he comes back and he's just like, oh, I shouldn't have treated you like that. I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. So that wasn't going to work. And I knew that because of how he treated me then. So we kind of just remained, we technically were still together because he said those were some of his roommate's friends. It wasn't what it looked like. His roommate had stepped out, so I was overreacting, right? So fast forward, it was probably like a month or so later. And I see him walking down the street with a chick. He's still my boyfriend at this time, okay?
Hold up.
And this was, if you know OSU's campus, I'm just going to say this was in a very visible part of campus where a lot of people go. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So I go and I walk up to him like, what's going on? Like, are you serious? And he's like, he ignores me at first. I'm calling him. And the girl has a nerve to stop when he stops. She doesn't say anything. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, what? He was just basically like, again, like, this ain't happening. You see who I'm with, right? And keep in mind, I cannot make this up. Just the night before, on the phone, this man was saying, oh, I'm sorry that, when you came, like, I know that looked bad, but I really do care. I love you. I would die for you. I'm not making this up to make myself feel better. This is dead serious. I would die for you. Like, you're such a great person, blah, 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 right? And then he's with some other girl. So I'm like,
hours later.
Yes, 5 hours later. And I'm just like, wow.
That's
so
wild, man.
definitely that didn't work out. And I'm glad God showed me that because it's showing me what I will absolutely not tolerate. And that was my super young self. Like I've always been like very sure of who I am, but I had to bump my head 1 to 5 times to realize like, I'm not taking that shit. Like this is not me.
Nah.
Yes,
But
at all.
I'm glad you realized that because there are a lot of women or young ladies that would just be like, just take him at face value. Okay, that was his roommate's friends, or all right, he was just mad at me and just acting out, but it's really something.
It's not acceptable.
Not at all.
And if I had continued to entertain him, he would have kept me around. Just like when I was his girlfriend, the other girl he's walked down the street with, he probably was entertaining. When he was just with me, like men will only get away with what you allow them to. And we are better than that, ladies. So do not accept that type of treatment. You are so much better than that. And men too, because I know that y'all kind of get the short end of the stick as well. I've heard some stories from some of my male friends and I'm like, wow, she did that to you? Like that was wrong. And just because I'm a woman, like, yes, I'm all about female empowerment, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And I've heard some stories and I just was like,
I can tell you some stories.
wow, like this woman really was feeling herself to treat you like that. So yeah, that's messed up. Okay, so the answer to this question, you are welcome to answer in regards to a romantic relationship, a family relationship, friendship, whatever it might be.
Yep.
How do you define being supported, and what does that look like for you?
This is gonna sound super simple. I learned this in my friendships, and then I kind of just use it in other areas. Is I'm the friend to people that I want them to be to me. And it's just really that simple, but like in a real way. So for example, I had a friend, let's just jump into it. She's my ex-wife. So this is before we got married. This is really how we got together was she's from Cleveland. So it was 2000, maybe like 12 or 13, something like that. We had a real bad winter. So she went to start her car on Livingston Avenue and left it and went back in the house. On Livingston.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Nah, I came back out, that car was gone. So it was a real bad winter. So I'm like, man, dang, like, why would you do that? But like, I got you. So I was like, hey, I can't take you to work, but I can definitely get you home from work because her job is maybe like 15 minutes from mine. And then she got off maybe like a half hour after me. So I was like, it's no big deal. And so I was like, man, in a real way, like if my car got stolen in this winter, I would want somebody to real life, like, bro, I got you.
Right.
But we don't tax our friends like that because we don't want to impose or we don't want to be an inconvenience to people. But I learned that lesson. That's just an example of where that germinated from. Like, that's how our relationship kind of budded, was because we was together all the time.
Right.
Like I'm picking her up. So all intents and purposes, it looks like I'm her man. I'm a gentleman, so I'm always opening up the door, letting her in. So it kind of is feeling like a relationship, but we were in a space of just a friendship. And so that's how it actually blossomed. But to get out the rabbit hole, it's just, I learned to be the person, like to be the friend that I want somebody to be to me in a real way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Not like in a, hey, I'm just checking on you type of way. No, bro, like send me $50 for a meal. Like if I were in your shoes, what would I really, like my inner self, like what would I really want somebody to do and or be for me?
Right.
And then I do that, or I try to be that for my friends. So.
Because you know what it feels like to not have someone there for you.
Absolutely.
So you do almost any and everything to be there for someone.
Yes.
I operate like that as well.
Yes.
I've definitely had people take advantage of me.
That's part of it.
And that's romantic relationships, family, friends. I would say romantic relationships and friends the most, for sure, 1,000%.
Give me an example from one of your romantic relationships where that happened.
Getting taken advantage of? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, everything you said. I've had the request for money. I've had being in a rotation, wanting to have sex, and I'm not on it. But like, even if I say no because I understand their game, continuing to try and use me in that way. And what they do is they mask it as truly caring for me or maybe wanting to commit to me, but they really just want the benefits of me. We could go on for days. I have almost all my friends are married. So this was back in the day, Jesus, years ago. I personally, and it's no offense to anyone who likes online dating, but I'm not personally a fan, but I was on Hinge for a short period of time because
Hinge is wild.
Hinge is wild. So
by the way.
my married friends who met their husbands on Tinder before Tinder got wild. This was like back in the day. Apparently it's super wild now. They encouraged me to do online dating because they know me and they know I stay in the house. I'm really a homebody and I do pop out every now and then and I like being social, but not a whole lot. So I was on Hinge and I just was like, I don't really like it, but I did end up getting a boyfriend. He became my boyfriend. Long story short, he didn't work out.
How long did it last?
Not even 2 months. Nice. Exactly. So his whole thing was, again, he romanticized everything. He seemed really into me and all of that, but similar as my other story in college, he was supposed to be coming to pick me up for a date. And I'm sitting here 3 hours later. And my boyfriend is not here yet. Haven't received a text, haven't received a call. He shows up 3 hours later. Like, oh, hey, babe, what's up? You know, hi. Are you serious?
No,
Doesn't even acknowledge it. So rude. And of course, you know, we had to have a conversation about that. And his excuse, oh, I fell asleep. Okay. So this didn't happen just once, but 2 to 3 times. Same thing.
3 hours tardy?
I think it was 3 hours the first time, and then maybe later it was like a couple of hours, and he's just like, oh, I was asleep. Okay, so now there's a whole other thing, and we're not gonna give this too much energy because I'm far removed. I have no grudges against anybody I've dated or been involved with, but it was a learning example. I definitely went over there before, and when he was supposed to show up, knocked on his door, and I remember his apartment complex, how it was set up. I'm knocking. So I'm like, all right, he's not answering, but I feel like he's here because I see his car. Granted, he could have hopped in a car with somebody else. But I'm like, no, I just had a feeling like he's here. So then I go back to my car. I'm like, let me just sit here and see if he comes out. He doesn't come out, but guess who I see come out?
Don't tell me somebody you know. Okay.
A girl. Some girl. Dead serious. I can't make this up.
Dirty game out here.
So then after that, he doesn't know that I'm sitting in my car because I come back and knock. He answers this time because the girl left. Some men are dirty and it's just sad. And you have to be very conscious that they exist and there are men out there. But I do also know there are good men
for sure.
as well. So anyway, yeah, that was being taken advantage of because he loved the idea of me. He loved having me there. He said all the right things. He, you know, typically would do the right things as far as being respectful or taking me out, all of that. But his actions didn't show that he was truly invested in me or the relationship. So, of course, that didn't work.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah, no longer choosing to entertain
and this was
that
a 2-month relationship, you said?
This was maybe 2 months, if that.
How long, because I think this is interesting. I talk to my students about this. Like, how long do you talk or kind of deal with a person before y'all become official?
Honestly, I think a good rule of thumb is like 90 days. And I will be completely transparent and say a lot of my relationships weren't even lasting for 90 days. You know why? Because I really can sense someone's energy very quickly, and I'm only going to tolerate certain things for so long. And if that makes me difficult or keeps me single forever, I'm fine with that because I do know my worth, even though I have experienced some shady things. I I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm
blame
sorry.
you.
I'm not desperate. I don't need a man. I want the right man, the one who is for me. And what that will look like is someone who respects me, someone who respects my time, and someone who is willing to invest in the relationship, because that's the energy I'm giving. So I expect the same in return.
Give me your nitty gritty list though. Like what do you want in your man? Come on, we gonna talk
Woo.
real. If we're gonna talk, let's talk. Because I know
Well,
it got to be more than just those 3 things you named that you want in your man, your partner.
You know, I can't give away all the secret sauce because, you know, there might be some of my roster that's lurking, and he has to earn all that, you know. Okay. I do have a sense of humor, but I'm going to be honest, I don't have a roster. People always assume I have a roster, so that's why I put that joke in. But I do have friends, and I'm not in a rush for any of those friends to be anything more unless it's clear and evident. Unless I feel like God tells me, yes, this is the one. So that's why I can joke about a roster, because I know in my heart, God knows, and people close to me know, she ain't got no roster. She be at home. You know what I mean? So I will say, though, here's what I require.
Okay.
At this point in my life, in all seriousness and all honesty, I require someone that is going to respect me because I'm going to respect him. I just want to feel safe, seen, and heard.
When you say safe, do you mean just physically, or do you mean like mentally, emotionally, like your heart is safe with them?
All of the above. Because what I realized when I look back at my relationships, I've never been in a relationship where I truly felt safe.
Really?
And that's a problem for me. So, yeah.
It is, but let me share this with you. So like I told before, I'm divorced. So like when I was going through my divorce, I think people kind of think like you're just kind of like down and depressed and whatever the case was. And that was like the complete opposite for me. Like I was not like down and depressed and none of that. But I learned so much about like other people's relationships because people would like share with you.
Sure.
Because that's the tenor that most people would like to start their conversations off with me. You know, how you doing? Da, 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 da. Like, bro, don't feel bad. I'm going through it too. And da, 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 da. But I found out like there are a lot of people that are married that are not in safe relationships.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Like there are a lot of people who have unsafe husbands. I have unsafe wives. Like it's better to be single than to be married wrong.
That's how I feel. I feel like I'm winning right now. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm in a luxurious place because I do hear the stories from married people. I see it on TV. I see it within my life and people connected to me. And a lot of people, again, not all, there are people that are very happy and everything's great. A lot of people aren't happy and they feel stuck or they're in situations they're not really a fan of. And unfortunately, I think that's why sometimes there's either wandering eyes or abuse or different things, which, you know, I know that word is triggering, but you have to be aware that abuse isn't always physical, it's emotional, psychological. So you keep taking and accepting things because you're used to them or because you're comfortable or because people don't want to be alone. So I am the person, oh my goodness, call me a loner. That is not a negative word to me. And this brings us right into the next point. Relationship with self is extremely important to me.
Absolutely.
Now, I mentioned some of my silly stories, and again, that was just a couple. But the unique advantage that I have is that I have experienced a lot of hurt and pain. I've been cheated on. I've been lied to. But all that did was push me closer to getting to know myself. What is the reason that I've accepted some of this behavior, that I'm choosing these type of men? Now, it's not all on me because they have to take accountability as well. But I feel like when I started to see a pattern, I'm like, okay, let's take a couple steps back and slow down here.
Because you are the common denominator in it.
Yes. And I had to be honest. And that's not always an easy conversation with yourself. But in turn, what is created is someone that's extremely self-aware, someone that is extremely firm on what she will and will not accept. And I watch people's actions more than I listen to their words.
So did you know that he was cheating and you just accepted it, or like you found out and then it was over?
Oh, no. When I found out, it was a wrap.
Okay.
And it's happened multiple times. No. Once I found out, I've had, and again, these were mostly my college days, I've had girls answer my boyfriend's phone. That happened to me like at least 2-3 times. And like one time it was later. Again, he was supposed to come be with me. And I get a phone answer like, oh, yeah, we were all over here like a party or something and he's sick. Okay. But you right by him answering. Yeah. Yeah. All kinds of things. Again, don't want to give too much energy because I really have let that go. It doesn't make me feel bitter. It just makes me feel better that I'm so far beyond those type of people accepting that type of treatment from people. And for me, how I really became this strong woman that people commend all the time and say they respect how strong I am, how independent I am. It's like enough is enough. I put my foot down. Like I've entertained this for long enough. I'm not seeking just someone. I'm seeking the one.
Do you think it's just the one, or do you think it's who you pick?
I don't know that, and this is my opinion, I don't know that the one exists. I think that you find someone that you're compatible with, and if you have enough in common and you like each other enough, you find ways to make it work. Because if you really like them, you're going to respect them, you're going to be loyal, and you're going to build together. So I'm willing to take my time on that. I don't want to, especially at this age, continue to start over again. I'm kind of tired of that. You know what I mean? It's just like you can have the most. I'm divorced. Do I? It's like you can have the most faith in a situation, and then it just doesn't work out. And it's like, all right, let's try something new. So I won't allow it. I don't allow people to play with me anymore. I don't allow them to do things that are convenient for only them. And I really have shifted my mindset on dating and the whole dating landscape. I see things for what they are and not for I want them to be, and not for what I want them to be. And I operated like that a long time. Like I wanted them to be something. I expected someone to treat me a certain way. I expected to be in a relationship with this man after supporting him and essentially investing in him, helping him, whether it is money, spending quality time with them, spending intimate time with them. You think eventually, and there's times we had pretty decent friendship as well. So you just kind of think, okay, so we're going to end up together. No, commitment is a choice, and a man will continue to get all the benefits from you and not choose you.
Why buy the cow if you got the milk for free, though?
Exactly.
So, I mean, in defense of all the scumbags out there, as a former scumbag, stand-up gentleman now myself, but former scumbag, used to be a card-carrying member of the Shallow Hal Club. Like, men, like you said, men only do what we're allowed to.
That's right.
So if I got it for a lower price or a lower effort, why would I put in more effort than I need?
And that's called growth, because now I know, like, oh, I'm not willing to accept that. Like for me, my spirit doesn't resonate with chaotic people at all.
I felt you.
So now my discernment's gotten so much sharper that I can sense a man's energy, and I'm very observant. I listen to the things he has going on in his life. I listen to how he talks to his family and friends. I watch how he moves. I watch what he does, may it be work or how he treats his kids, if he has kids, how he treats his mom, his dad, whomever it may be. And if I sense that he does not know himself, and that's probably why he's chaotic and he's not fully settled, he doesn't understand himself, how can he be a leader within a relationship with me? Let alone if things work out, he becomes my husband, he's supposed to lead the family. Oh no, I'm gonna push you back and you take all the time you need. Not saying I'm waiting on somebody, but I would rather a man really, really know and understand himself, because he's gonna be right when he gets to me. So I take my time now, whereas before, absolutely, I think a lot of us women, y'all be honest, we are guilty of trying to get the fixer-uppers, or thinking we can change a man, thinking we can rush a man to commit to us or to give us what we need because we're just that game changer. We're the one that's going to do it. Yeah, I heard your ex and other people you talked to couldn't do it, but like I'm me. Like I think I can get him to this place. I can make him a husband. No, you can't. You can't. He is the, he is the only one who is going to change. his actions and his behavior. People aren't going to change for you. So those are things I realize. And to be completely honest, like now I definitely am sitting in my main character entree mentality where it's like, I'm not a backup. I'm not an option. I'm not a side. So if you come with that energy or you're treating me like that, it's a no for me. And I'm that firm. And of course, to some that translate as, oh, she difficult. She thinks she's all of that. She thinks whatever. Well, guess what? You can keep thinking that because I do. I know what I deserve. And more importantly, I know what I'm willing to give. I'm willing to give the man that I'm with the type of time, energy, love, respect that he deserves. So why would I accept anything less?
That's the key right there, though. Like, to back up on a couple things you said, it starts with self-love. Like, self-love is the basis for all love.
Yes.
Like, and how you love and how you receive love as well. And you said something earlier. You said you have been cheated on before. That was actually one of my prerequisites for dating a woman. Was I said she had to know her dad, and she also had to have been cheated on before. One, she needed to know her dad, so that way she knew how to receive love from a man.
Yes,
and
Jesus.
two, she needed to be cheated on, so she would know she know how it feels, so she won't do that to me. That was in my younger days. Now my non-negotiables have changed. Like whether they know their dad or not, at this big grown age, you should kind of know how to receive love from a man. Like at the age and stage that we're at in our life. And then the other thing, like for real. And then the other thing that you said about friendship, like it's got to start off as friends.
Yes.
Or it should start off. I'm going to say it's got to. It should start off as friends. My sister is married. She's been with her husband since 1995.
We in the 1990s.
Six-ish.
Amen. Good for them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she told me something. She said, it's easier to be with somebody that started off as your friend because it's harder to do your friend wrong.
Exactly.
So like all the stories you told me about, like, dude, where you had to go run up and knock on the door and all
Should
that.
not have to do all that.
You shouldn't have to do all that because
No.
if that's your friend, you're not going to do your friend dirty.
No.
Because that's the basis of what it started off of. Y'all just compounded into a relationship. You know what I mean? So
1000%.
those were two things that you said that like really stood out. Like you probably should start off as friends first.
Yes.
And also when you start off as friends, you're less likely to meet a person's representative. So if I meet you, for example, when we was out on, I don't even know what's on High Street. I don't even go out, but whatever's on High Street,
Right.
Say I meet you, I'll walk up to you, suave, I bag you, so to speak, whatever. We get to chopping it up. For the most part, we're going to have each other's representative.
Right.
But if you and I start off as friends, we just talk, we shoot the you know what I'm saying? All of that.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares or is really filtering themselves because I don't feel as though I'm auditioning to be your man or I'm not
Audition.
you know what I'm saying, put my name in the hat to be your dude or whatnot. We just friends and we chopping it up. So I may tell you all type of stuff. And you'd be like, bro, my friend Cleo is a mess. Like, but that's my authentic self.
Exactly.
So if you start off being friends, I think you get more authenticity with the person as opposed to if you come from the, I slid in the DM and da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
All right, now we about to get a highlight reel or your representative for at least 30 to 45 days until that real person shows up.
The issue in today's dating landscape is a lot of people aren't willing to wait for what they want. We try to skip steps, and I say we because I'm definitely guilty. In the past, what? You try to skip steps, you try to persuade people to be with you. You send all the paragraph texts trying to convince and campaign for yourself that you should be with me. No, you have to pay attention to people's actions and believe them. And stop trying to romanticize the situation and make it something that you want it to be.
Yeah.
Accept it for what it is and for what's right in front of you.
And then make your decision from there.
Exactly. Like it's either going to happen naturally or it's not meant for me. And it will be very obvious. So that's something that, again, I don't do everything perfectly, but where I'm at, I'm way more accepting of that now at this point in my life. 1,000%.
Yeah, I want what's organic over what's convenient.
Exactly.
Like I need what's organic. Like it's things that happen organically. The relationships that I've had that have been on the better end happen organically, as opposed to me just taking what was convenient.
Right.
Like, oh girl like me, or da 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 da. Like you said, I'm lonely, or I don't want to be by myself, and I just take what's convenient, or I take what's low hanging fruit. Like it's a time, you know what I'm saying? But after that, after the new car smell wears off, you like, man, I gotta get up out of this.
Exactly. Exactly. Is there really substance there? That's the question that you have to have with people, because you can not only romanticize the situation, you can just be excited to have somebody there. Listen, and I'll say women, some women are so desperate to say, Shantae got a man at home, that they don't even care if the man is good or bad. Let's make sure you got a good man at home and someone's truly for you. What'd you say?
Or if you're sharing said man with somebody else, like.
You have a community man?
Not a community man.
I mean, let's be real. Nobody wants those. He needs to really be about you, and it will be evident through his actions. And you need to really be about him as well. Yeah. Because sometimes what people do is they will match energy. Oh, well, he didn't show me his phone. I think he's cheating. So then they start going to be shady. Don't stoop to someone's level.
It's a dumb game.
Exactly. Stand firm in who you are. If your intuition tells you that he may not be the one for you or that he's cheating, he probably isn't.
For sure.
So you have the conversation. If he's honest about it, great. But if he's not and you still sense it or you can tell he's lying, you probably should be prepared to exit stage left. And a lot of people, I understand sometimes there's kids involved, there's history involved. That can be difficult. But who do you care about more? Yourself
not
or
as
them?
Difficult as you think. I have both.
Yeah.
History and a child and a marriage license.
Yeah.
And after a lot of prayer, it was like, this is not what I have for you, son.
Exactly. Well, that was the perfect segue into toxic relationships. We've already kind of touched on that. Toxic relationships, I think when toxic relationships begin, people don't think they're toxic because it's masked as love. It's masked as, oh, I didn't mean to do that, or that was a mistake. And then it happens again and again and again. And by that time, you're probably truly in love with the person. And like I said, maybe this is a person that really was your friend first. So your friend can do you dirty too.
Oh, no doubt.
And by that time, it's just like, well, I can't even imagine being with nobody else. So I'll just keep putting up with that treatment.
It's like the old people say, ain't that much love in the world.
Listen,
That's a nice
you better
way of
care
saying,
about and love yourself more first.
Yeah.
So this is something that with the single life that I encounter a lot that's annoying, and I think it's actually toxic as well. You don't have to just be in a relationship. You've heard of pretty privilege, right? The pretty privilege thing is real. And what people don't realize, with pretty privilege comes what I've coined as pretty fatigue. Okay?
What you mean?
So I talked to my friends about this. The pretty privilege, people, I think, believe that it's just people always want to be with you. They think you're pretty. Men chase after you. Or women. It's 2024, but I'm a heterosexual woman, so men chasing after me. But that gets tiring. Always being pursued and lusted over, and people staying so surface level with you. They don't really get to know you. You get sick of being lusted over. You just want to be loved. You want people to see beyond the surface.
Lust is important, though, in a marriage, not a relationship.
Desiring your partner and being physically attracted, 1,000%. I don't have an issue with that. But from what I've experienced, it can get a bit much, because here's what I've discovered. When you are a single woman, and for me, I rode solo quite a bit, people think it's appropriate to stalk you. They think it's okay to continue to follow you when you say no, and they're trying to pursue you, like physically follow you. When you're out and about, you're at the gym, you're here. Like, just because you don't see a ring on my finger does not mean that you have access to me. It doesn't. And that's what I mean by pretty fatigue, because you can only get told you're pretty, you're beautiful, and I want to be with you. And people lusting over you so long before you're like, all right, like, don't get me wrong. It's not an arrogance thing. You're like, all right, I appreciate it. But after so long, it gets tiring, because it's just like, you want people to see beyond that.
You want to be seen for something else besides your exterior.
Exactly, especially when you have someone like me that has so much content. I'm not just about looks. And again, people that know me know I don't really care. I just am who I am. I show up how I show up. I don't do it for anybody. I do it for myself first. And if someone likes the way I look, the way I move, the way I behave, then that's a bonus. But the pretty fatigue thing, I mean, it gets pretty tiring. I think also, this is something else I've realized. I don't want nobody's man. I get so tired, and I can tell, you've seen it. You're in the store, a woman's with a man, and then you walk past him and she kind of, oh, hey, babe. And am I looking at him? I don't want him. I don't want anybody that's somebody else's. To me, it's like, it's less attractive. A man is less attractive when I know he's with somebody, because I don't roll like that. I have zero desire to be with somebody that another woman is already with. And I think that men will see me, women will see me, and in a way, it's like I get treated kind of like because I'm single, or these people like know I'm single. So this is like within a group. So this can be friends from college. This could be friends in a certain circle. They're married now, whatever. Ain't nobody looking at him. He's cool, and I know how to be friends with people.
Like how to coexist.
And it be, exactly. And for it to be platonic. Everything's not about trying to take things on an intimate level, and it gets difficult when you are a single woman, and a woman may see her man look at you, but that doesn't mean that I'm looking back, or I'm trying to take them, or I'm going to do anything shady. Again, I don't move like that. I have no desire to. So
that goes back to the point I made earlier. Like, a lot of people are in unsafe situations.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know your person, you know your partner. So like, don't project that on me.
They're projecting.
You picked the unsafe person, not I. I'm just here to get some pickles out this aisle, bro. Like,
okay.
like that's
Listen, nobody. We're not looking. We're not. And realistically, even if I was in a relationship and saw my man like look at someone for 2 seconds, is that really worth an argument? Again, this is me. Men and women are naturally going to look, but if there's no action upon that, for me, it's not a big deal.
And men are visual, so.
Exactly.
That's going to be the first thing, is the man going to be attracted by, ain't going to be, oh man, she got a good heart.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are in toxic relationships. They're insecure, and they definitely project on the outside world, because the world in their household is probably in shambles. But they make it look good on Instagram. They make it look good at functions, or they make it look good at reunions. And that's y'all's problem. They don't have anything to do with me. So, and I've never been like in a situation where like a woman has confronted me, no, because it never gets to that step.
I'm coming to you as a woman, that text message.
It's more like, it's almost like a passive aggressive treatment, because I'm the single one in the situation or in a room, and there's married people or there's people in relationships, and I may show up and whatever, dressed up, and maybe that doesn't mean that and this is the thing. Just because I'm single, I'm not soliciting myself.
You're not Cousin Faith.
No.
From Soul Food. Like.
No. And that, I think, is another common misconception. People think that it's like a solicitation because you're single. I'm actually very happy being single. I'm actually very self-aware. I'm in a place where I know my value, I know my worth. So, although I do desire a partner and to be with someone, I'm going to know it when I see it, because I spent so much time by myself, and I'm still working on myself. I'm not done. So for me, I value being single. I really do. Now, do I get lonely at times? Sure, because I don't have a partner. But I know that time will come, because again, I've spent so much time by myself, and I spend so much time with God. I'm going to know it when I see it. And it's going to happen organically. So I'm not rushing things like I used to.
It takes a while to really know yourself in that space.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Because a few months ago, I was talking with one of my friends, and he's married. They've been married, I think, 14 years, something like that, 13, 14 years. And I was telling him, and I was like, one pivot that I've made, like in my single season again, is not just to have my non-negotiables about what I want. Is to have my non-negotiables about what I bring as well.
That's right.
Because most times we have non-negotiables about, okay, I'll just use mine. She gotta be saved. She gotta be fine. She gotta have a wagon. She has to be mentally stable.
Oh, not a wagon.
I know what I want.
I know.
If we're gonna talk, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? Because listen,
let's be real.
If we don't find out what I like in the beginning, we're gonna find out at some point in time, because I'm not gonna be satisfied. And it's a pastor in Cleveland that I listened to his podcast, and he was like, one of his points that he made, he said, get what you need in your bed. Right. And like most people kind of like, a pastor said that? Like, because he's, you know what I'm saying, kind of coached and mentored, you know what I'm saying, relationships and marriages and stuff. So like my non-negotiables, I can run those off to you. And then one day I was in prayer, and the Lord was like, what are your non-negotiables for yourself? Like you can talk about what you want from her, but what are you saying? No matter what, this is what I'm going to be, and this is what I'm going to bring to my marriage. And a lot of people always worry about what the other person is doing, but it's like, what are your non-negotiables for yourself? Like my non-negotiables for myself are I will provide for you. I will protect you. I will be the priest of my home. I will make sure that whether she does or doesn't have, well, if she does have kids, your kids are my kids.
Right.
Like if your kid live under my roof, for all intents and purposes, I know biologically the kid's not mine, but that kid is mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you have to, I'm not gonna say you have to have, but I think it's a good thing to have to come into it to know, all right, this is what I'm bringing. So that way, to your earlier point, you can know, all right, this is my self-worth and this is what I'm bringing. So therefore, because I know I'm bringing certain things, I'm not willing to accept lower level treatment.
Exactly.
Because, all right, like Nordstrom's, they know their self. Nordstrom's does not accept EBT.
Right.
Because they know the value of the things that they carry. Like some place, and there's nothing wrong with EBT. If you got EBT, holler at me. I do buy stamps.
Right.
But like
80 for 40. 80 for 40. Okay.
Try out all the new snacks. For real, but I just think that that's something that that really pivoted and helped me out though, is to know what's my non-negotiables that I'm bringing instead of just so worried about her and what she got. But I'm wholeheartedly standing tall on saved, and she got to have a wagon, and she got to be fine too.
As you should.
I don't want no little ugly.
My dad always say you got to be able to look at the person you with. So who's going to lie and say they don't want someone attractive? Now, of course, some people may say, I don't care. We're not going to get into Love is Blind because we don't have time. But, yeah.
It's definitely in the eye of the beholder, as long as it worked for you.
Right.
But back to the Bible, in the beginning, it says God made a suitable partner for Adam. And I think that people kind of skip over that. What's suitable for you?
Right.
What's suitable for you may not be suitable for me, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like you said earlier, you're a woman of faith. Some men might be intimidated by that. Oh,
they
man,
are.
She go to church.
They are.
She da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? And the other men, baby, like, bruh, whew, that's what I've been looking for.
They
like,
are.
I'm tired of that.
I've experienced both ways.
You know what I mean? Like, 'cause sometimes you get tired of the ratchets. Like, I don't like a woman that curses around kids. Like, I don't judge you, but I'm also conscious of, all right, if I got to run to the store because we ran out of milk for a recipe, am I comfortable leaving my daughter at that house with that woman?
That's right.
Like, that's a real life situation, because I don't curse at my daughter, neither does her mother. So I can't, that's a thing that I can't negotiate with.
Right.
It's a very small, it may seem like a small thing to somebody else. They just cuss words. Like, that's cool, but I have the right to say that's not what I want.
But you know what you want, you know what you don't want. And the issue today, too, that I've experienced personally and I hear about so much is there are so many unhealed and broken people. And people project that brokenness and those unhealed parts of themselves onto other people. And what's happening is you are the whole hurt people. That's why, to me, there's really not a lot of options out here if you're single or dating, because there's a bunch of hurt people who aren't over their exes, who are disrespecting each other, and then because they're lonely or because there's nothing out here, they keep dealing with each other, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and then when they're finally fed up, they move on, and the cycle's repeated. So how do you expect quality when there aren't even quality relationships to begin with? People are going around seeking their ex and other people and expect to get married and expect sustainability in a relationship, when they're not over the person who broke their heart or that they really love or whatever it may be. And not to mention, going back to the more important part of what we talked about, self-love. They don't love themselves. So that's also a form of brokenness, because if you don't know who you are, you don't love yourself, how I expect you to love me or vice versa?
That's what I was going to say that you said earlier. It was a point I knew. When you talked about how a man leads, the first person a man leads is himself.
Should be.
No, it is. Now, whether he leads himself good or bad, that is a preview to how you're going to lead everybody else and everything else in your life. If you're not disciplined with yourself, how can we trust you to be disciplined with us? If you're not disciplining your time, your finances, your love, your energy, how can we expect you to steward us correctly? And that goes for your pastors, that goes for husbands, that goes for teachers, you know what I'm saying? Bosses, CEOs. This is applicable in all aspects of life for leadership.
Right.
The first person that you lead is yourself. So we get a preview. Who would go to a fat trainer? Like, bro, you overweight.
Right.
And you telling me you about to get me together? What happened with the start?
Right.
So you didn't collect $200. You just passed go.
A leader should be the example.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real. And we know that's not the case, unfortunately. But there's exceptions, but it's causing a lot of us to accept the bare minimum because we feel like this standard we want doesn't exist anymore. So, well, at least he has this, but not this and this.
I think women nowadays have to be more flexible in their wants than men do because it's a numbers game. The numbers are in our favor right now.
Well,
like
this is true.
As far as like, if you are a straight up heterosexual bruh that's decent, can hold a conversation, got 87% of your teeth in your mouth.
Excuse me.
You can pretty much have what you want out here. 87%.
I'm gonna need 100. I need 100%. Jesus.
Some people got the putt golf hole right here. You got to work with them. Again, y'all have to be more. There has to be more elasticity. I think this is just my opinion than men do because the numbers are in our favor. So it's like
I agree with that part.
If she don't got what I want or this just doesn't work out how I think, I'm probably not going to be discouraged. There's always one thing I figured out in my almost 2.5 years of being back in the street, single, whatever you want to call it. There's always another shot to take.
Right.
They might not be a quality shot, but there's always going to be another shot to put up or to take. But for women, I think that's why women are more likely to share a man, why they're willing to stay with men, because it's like, I don't want to start over with nobody else. Like,
right.
But dude don't respect you. Dude verbally abuses you. Dude come home all hours of the night. Dude living off of you. Dude dropping you off at work in your car and picking you up on your or bringing you lunch, and you think that that's sweet. Like, it's your car. That's the least he can do.
Right. You can't, if you're willing to accept the bare minimum, that's on you. You can't expect top-notch, high quality if you accept the bare minimum. Now, if you're willing to wait, which most people aren't these days because of being impatient, being alone, and all these things, well, how can you expect your life to change? How can you expect your person to come? You're probably going to have to wait, right? Like, wine takes time to make. So for me, like, I will be completely honest. Like, whoever my husband is supposed to be, he probably would not have wanted to seriously date me even 7 years ago because I was nowhere near as spiritually mature, as close to God, as self-aware, as lovable, because I learned to love myself so much. Now that has been projected into my relationships, and I'm a lover. I love people. Unless you give me a reason not to, I'm naturally going to be loving. And people love that as well. So what I've learned is now where I'm at, owning where I'm at, everyone doesn't deserve or get access to me because what I've learned at this age, people love access to me. This is romantic relationships. This is family. This is friends because of my heart. I know if I'm down bad, Lana got my back. She gonna stay on the phone with me. Can you Venmo, Cash App some money? Can you do this? Can you do that? People love having access when you're a good person, but everybody can't have access. They need to reciprocate a certain energy as well, or you will continue to get taken advantage of because that gets old. Yes, I'm a good person, but I'm not a stupid person. I have boundaries, and my boundaries are a lot stricter now because I didn't used to be as self-aware. I'm just like, oh, I'm just being nice. And then what happens? I get burnt out. I'm exhausted. I don't get anything coming back to me. I don't get poured into. So with time, if you don't draw boundaries, then people will continue to take, but never giving. And I don't give with the intention to get something back. But I mean, let's be real. Every now and then it'd be nice.
Anything that's not reciprocated eventually gives out. Even the, you know what I'm saying? The ecosystem, rain, the soil to, you know what I'm saying? All that, everything is cyclical.
And that comes with not knowing who you are. Like, I think Kanye made a reference, like, if you hang around people who don't treat you like you're you, you'll start to think you're not you, or something along those lines. Like, you're not going to treat me like I'm not who I am, because who I am is a good person. I'm not talking nothing about what you see on the outside. I'm a good person. I'm a woman of God, and God knows my imperfections and flaws. So when I say that, I'm not saying I'm all the way up here and I'm just waiting on the right person to match me. Well, yeah, I want them to match me, but I still have a lot of work to do. But where I'm at now, I've worked to get here. I've earned my spot. I'm confident because of what I've been through in my life experiences. So to have that energy match to me, it doesn't seem like that much.
Where I sense you're at right now in your maturation process. So if like, this is the example that I can give you. Like when we on the freeway, if you get ready to go into the fast lane, you don't get over and then speed up. You speed up to match the speed of the lane that you're getting ready to go to.
Right.
What you're talking about is in your maturation process, you're becoming a wife. Because the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 18, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Didn't say he who makes a wife.
Right.
You're becoming a wife. You just not somebody's wife right now, but you're becoming a wife, which is why you're limiting access to yourself, because you realize your oil and what you have is for a specific person.
Absolutely.
But what I'm encouraged by and what I'm gonna bless you with is continue to take that time to work on yourself, because all wives are not created equal. The level of your favor is determined by the level of your findings. He said, he who finds,
Right.
he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord.
Right.
So you telling me based on what I find determines the level of favor that I get? Absolutely. Continue to work on yourself.
Right.
Because when your husband does find you, he'll find a good wife. He'll find a gem, because some women can be like a ball and chain.
Right.
Some women get the ring and become a wife by title, and they think that that's just it.
Right.
Like, no, it's a continuing process. A wedding is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how jazzy you want to be.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You got a reception, you spend mad bread, but the next day, that's when the work, that's like when you shoot the starter pistol, that's when the work starts. That's not when it stops. Like, and there's so much focus put on the wedding, it's so much focus put on being a bride instead of a wife. But what your mindset is on is being a wife and not a bride. Because a bride, you go down on Main Street, nice little boutique over there, bada boom, bada bing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Get a couple pins in your hair, boom, you're good. But to be a wife, that's a process.
Right.
Like, that's a whole process. So
And
like,
it's worth the wait.
man, what? Absolutely.
And that goes both ways. So,
man, who you telling?
well, we are at the point in this episode where we are going to do firm and free special segment where I want to know, what are you firm on and what would you like to be free from? So I'll go first. I am firm on waiting what and who is for me. I'm firm on waiting what is for me. I'm firm on waiting who is for me. What I would like to be free from, ever allowing my worth or who I should be the image of who I am, ever allowing someone else to tell that, because the image of who I am is who God says I am. So I used to kind of shapeshift in relationships, and it's almost like you try and be what a man wants you to be, especially if you really like him, you know what I mean? But no. It's how God sees me, and the right man will act accordingly and see, accept, value, and love that as well.
Yeah.
I'm very firm on that. But I would like to be free from ever allowing me to feel like I'm not good enough for someone. So what about you?
I'm firm on doing it God's way this time. And when I say that, I mean, so there's a song that's in church. You know, we love him because he first loved us. Oh, I love Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I love Jesus because he first loved me. People don't understand that that's really the blueprint for men, women, relationships, marriage, and all that. That in that setup, the man is really supposed to go first and put himself out there, because it says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So if the husband is supposed to act as Christ and treat his wife as the church, then that means the husband goes first, or the man goes first in most things.
Exactly.
Even from the germination of it, like the beginning of it, with me putting a shot up. I'm okay with reaching first. I'm okay with putting a shot up first. I'm okay with if and when I get there, saying I love you first.
Right.
Because I'm modeling the offense that I'm supposed to for where I hope is going to go, which is marriage. Like, I'm intentional about what I'm doing. So I'm being more intentional from the beginning, as opposed to just starting any old kind of way and then trying to tidy it up or trying to get it together and trying to bring it under God's umbrella. All right, God, all right, I'm going to stop having sex with her now, or I'm going to stop doing these things. I wish these things do happen. You know what I'm saying? In relationships, it doesn't cancel or disqualify you, but I'm very firm on doing it God's way, because the way it starts is the way it's going to finish. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that I want to be free from,
Yes.
I don't know. I live pretty free, man.
Okay. That's
I
great
do.
if you don't have one.
Like, I live pretty free.
Just owning who you are and staying in that space.
Yeah, I own who I am. I show up as myself in every room. I can be a chameleon if I need to be. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't act the same as I do with my friends. If you bring me around your grandma, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Of course, I ain't about to be talking to your grandma talking about on hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, your friend needs to go. Like,
Yes.
But nah, free from?
If that's your answer, that's your answer.
Yeah, nothing
That's
really
fine.
comes to mind. I kind of live free and
Okay.
especially talk free. So
That's fair. Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap this episode up and end it how we end every episode, with our mantra: I am powerful beyond measure. Excuse me. The things that I say, think, and do will reflect that. I know who I am. I own who I am. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Cleo, for coming back and joining us.
No doubt, love.
We appreciate you, and remember to stay firm on your foundation. Y'all have a blessed one.